Yesterday, I asked you this question. Can you tell me what's going to happen to the water level when the ice cube has melted? Oh, I love this film. So, perhaps somewhat surprisingly, the water level did actually stay the same. But why did it stay the same? To understand why this stays the same, we have to talk a little bit about a principle that comes to us from Archimedes over 2,000 years ago. So in simple terms, what Archimedes' principle tells us is that when you submerge an object in fluid, if that object is floating in the fluid, then the weight of the fluid it displaces is equal to the weight of the object itself. So I've illustrated that here and here in these diagrams. If you imagine floating a piece of wood in some water, then however much the piece of wood weighs, that is the weight of water that it's going to displace. Back to our floating ice cube example, if you suppose we have an ice cube of 50 grams, which I put in this glass of water, what's going to happen when this ice cube is first lowered in? Well, when the 50-gram ice cube is first lowered in, it has to displace 50 grams worth of water, because that's the weight of the ice cube, so that's the weight that's going to be displaced according to Archimedes' principle. Now, I think the easiest way of making sense of this, rather than thinking about melting the ice cube inside of the glass of water, imagine holding the ice cube above the surface of the water and letting it slowly drip in. Now, because the ice cube weighs 50 grams in itself, when it melts, it's going to turn into 50 grams worth of water. So melting the ice cube raises the water level by whatever the equivalent extra level will be for 50 grams worth of water. And in the first case, we also raised the level of the water by an equivalent of 50 grams worth of water just by putting the solid ice cube into it. Again, from Archimedes' principle. So hopefully I've convinced you that each of these two ways of getting the ice into the water, either putting it in when it's solid or melting it in from above the surface of the water, both add an equivalent of 50 grams worth of extra height to the water level. And that's why the water level didn't change. Now, I'm going to ask you an even more challenging question about ice cubes and floating and water levels tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that.